A food once taught me something uncomfortable. It looked like it had everything except the one thing food is supposed to give first. A plate was set down in front of me once, and for a moment it almost won me over before I even tasted it. It was beautiful, the colors were right, the arrangement was careful. Everything looked expensive, polished, complete. It was the kind of meal people would admire immediately, the kind people will photograph first, the kind that makes you think this must be good, this must be great, this must taste beautifully. But something about it stayed with me for a different reason. Not because it was unforgettable, not because it nourished deeply, not because it did the body any real favor. It stayed with me because it looked like it had done everything right, yet somehow missed the point of food. That meal made me sit with a quiet question. What happens when food becomes more committed to appearance than to purpose? Because a meal can be beautiful and still be unkind to the body. It can look rich and still leave people poorly fed. It can attract attention and still fail at nourishment. And the more I paid attention to food around me, the more I realized that this happens often. A lot of what is praised quickly is not always what serves deeply. A full plate is not always a balanced meal. A heavy meal is not always a nourishing one. A beautiful table is not always a healthy kitchen. That truth began to change the way I think about food. Not trending food actually, not performative food, but real food. The kind people live on, the kind families depend on, the kind that has to do more than impress for a moment. And that's really where this conversation begins for me. Hi, my name is Mariam, and this is Journal of Kitchen Klatch, a space where I want food to be understood, not just admired. A space where we talk about balanced family meals, traditional food wisdom, healthy eating habits, and the deeper meaning behind everyday cooking. Because I believe food is supposed to do something deeper. It is supposed to support the body. It is supposed to sustain people through long days. It is supposed to strengthen tired mothers, growing children, working adults, and homes that need stability. That's why I have come to believe very deeply that food should nourish before it impresses. And I did not arrive at that idea from trends. I arrived there from paying attention to how families eat, paying attention to what people cook repeatedly, paying attention to what fills the stomach and what actually fills the body. There is a difference. Some of the meals people praise the most are built for reaction. They are heavy, unbalanced, overloaded, and designed more for effects than for functions. And some of the meals people overlook, the quieter ones, the simpler ones, the traditional ones, are often the meals doing the real work. The bowl of beans, the fermented drink made at home, the simple stew with vegetables. This meal, the meal that was not prepared for applaud, but prepared with understanding. Those meals may not always enter a room loudly. They might not be attractive, but they serve the body faithfully. And that's the kind of food wisdom I think we need to return to, because food is not decoration. Food is one of the most intimate ways we care for life. When you cook for yourself with thoughts, that matters. When you prepare meals for your children with balance, that matters. When you build food around nourishment and not only cravings, that matters. And this is where many homes are quietly struggling. Not because food is unavailable, not because people did not know recipe, but because somewhere along the way, food became more about speed, trends, cravings, and appearance than about functions. So a family can be eating every day and still not be eating well. A home can be full of meals and still lack nourishment. A person can know how to cook and still not know how to build a meal that truly supports the body. That matters to me, because I do not want Journal of Kitchen Klatch to be another space where food is only admired from the surface. I want this to be a place where food is understood, a place where we ask what a meal is doing, a place where we talk about balance, nourishment, digestion, rhythm, and health. A place where traditional food wisdom is not dismissed. A place where cooking is not only creative but responsible. Because when food nourishes first, something changed. The body responds differently. Energy becomes more stable. Digestion improves. Children eat with better structure. The home begins to feel more intentional. Even the kitchen changes. You stop asking only this, what can I cook? And you begin asking, what does this meal need to do? Does it need to satisfy hunger only? Does it need to restore energy? Does it need to support digestion? Does it need to nourish children more intentionally? Does it need to stretch ingredients wisely without losing value? Those are different questions, and different questions create a different kind of cook, a more thoughtful cook, a more disciplined cook, a more nourishing cook, and that's the kind of cooking I believe in. Not food that performs for a moment and disappears, but food that quietly does its job. Food that supports life, food that honors the body, food that reflects wisdom, food that fits beyond the surface. So yes, presentation matters. Beauty has its place. There is nothing wrong with wanting food that look good. But when appearance becomes the first priority and nourishment becomes secondary, something is upside down. Because at the end of the day, the body does not eat aesthetics. The body responds to substance. And that is the standard I want to keep returning to. Food should nourish before it impresses. That is how I think about family meals. That is how I think about traditional food wisdom. That is how I think about healthy eating. And that is the kind of conversation I want to build here. If this is the kind of food education you have been looking for, then you are in the right place. Please subscribe. Welcome to Journal of Kitchen Klatch. If you want to learn how to build balanced meals with more thoughtful and less confusion, stay with me here. This is the kind of food wisdom we will be keeping building, exploring on Journal of Kitchen Klatch. Subscribe, share, and do what? Stay here.